After hosting his family for weeks, I found my jewelry missing. My husband said, "Maybe you lost it." His sister smiled, wearing my necklace. "You never deserved this anyway." I pretended not to see, until the night I invited them all over and said, "Let's watch security footage from the hallway because I 37 female live in Spokane, Washington, and I've been married to my husband Marcus 39 male for 9 years. We've had our ups and downs like any marriage, but lately, I've started realizing there were more red flags than I wanted to admit. I work as an office manager at a local dental clinic. Nothing fancy, but I like the routine and I'm good at it. Marcus runs a landscaping business. He's always been more of a hands-in-the-dirt guy than a planner. We've had money issues off and on, mostly because he's not great at saving. But we had a system, and we managed. This all started back in July. Marcus told me his sister Jenna, 35 female, was going through a breakup and needed a place to stay. For a few days. I didn't say no. I don't like Jenna, never have. She's loud, dramatic, messy, and always looks like she's sizing me up. But I didn't want to be the rude wife who shut the door on family. So I agreed. Big mistake. She moved in on a Tuesday. By Saturday, she'd spread her stuff across the entire guest room, half the bathroom, and was borrowing my shampoo, towels, and hairdryer. She never asked? Just helped herself. Every time I walked past her, she made some comment about my clothes or my house. "This couch is so beige. You really don't have a coffee maker? Wow. Your jewelry is so simple. You ever think about upgrading?" Stuff like that. Little digs all day long. I told Marcus how it made me feel. He just shrugged and said, "That's Jenna. She doesn't mean it." Then Terrell showed up. Terrell is Marcus's cousin. 28, unemployed, and apparently just stopping through, on his way to Seattle. He brought 2 duffel bags and a gaming console. Set up camp in our living room like it was a hotel. Then came Nate, Marcus's younger brother. Divorced, broke, and suddenly in between places. I came home from work one day and he was on our back porch, grilling chicken like he lived there. In less than 2 weeks, I was hosting 3 extra people. I was cooking dinner every night, doing dishes, and coming home to empty milk cartons and beer cans all over the place. I stopped using the main bathroom because it always smelled like sweat and Axe body spray. Jenna even started doing laundry in my machine, with my detergent, leaving wet clothes inside for days. I told Marcus I couldn't take much more. He said they'd leave soon. That was week 3. Then the jewelry went missing. It was a Saturday. I remember because Marcus and I were going to dinner. I had finally convinced him to spend some time alone. I wore my nice black top, the one with the lace at the shoulders, and I went to grab my jewelry box from the top dresser drawer. I opened the lid. It was empty. Not one piece left inside. No necklace. No earrings. Nothing. I panicked. I thought maybe I moved them. I tore apart the dresser. Checked every drawer, every pocket of my jeans and jackets. I even checked the bathroom and laundry area. Nothing. The necklace that was gone wasn't just any necklace. It was the one my mom gave me. A gold chain with a small opal in the middle. Not expensive, but personal. I wore it every birthday since she passed. I walked straight into the living room and told Marcus. "My necklace is gone. The one from Mom. And the earrings too." He didn't even get up from the couch. "Are you sure you didn't misplace it?" I just stood there. "No, Marcus. I didn't misplace it. I keep it in the same place. Every time." He looked at me like I was overreacting. "You've been stressed lately. Just check again later." I felt like I was losing my mind. Like I was screaming into a void. Then Jenna walked in. Wearing my necklace. She had her hair up, probably on purpose, and that little opal pendant sat right at the base of her throat. I saw it immediately. She knew I did. She smiled. "Oh, this? I found it in the bathroom. Figured you forgot it." Thought it looked better on me anyway. My mouth went dry. She looked me up and down. "You never really wore it right. Too classy for your vibe." Then she walked off, just like that. Marcus said nothing. Didn't even ask if it was mine. He just turned up the volume on the TV like it didn't happen. I felt hollow. I sat in my bedroom for hours that night, just thinking. Going over every conversation. Every time someone brushed past me. Every moment I ignored my own discomfort. And then I remembered the hallway camera. We had installed it after a break-in attempt years ago. Motion activated. Recorded clips whenever someone moved past our bedroom door. Marcus barely remembered it existed. But I did. While everyone was asleep, I went online, logged in, and started reviewing the footage. It didn't take long. 2 nights before, at 2:14 a.m., I saw her. Jenna. She walked down the hallway in my robe, looked right into the camera, then turned into our bedroom. She was in there for 4 minutes. When she came out, she was holding the black velvet box I kept in my dresser, smiling. I felt sick watching it. I downloaded the clip to a flash drive, saved a copy on my laptop. Then I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg Marcus to take my side. I was going to wait. And I was going to end this my way. 1 week later, I told Marcus I wanted to host a dinner for the family. "A thank you meal?" I said. "One last get-together before everyone moves on." He looked surprised but agreed. He probably thought I was finally coming around. I cooked all day. Lasagna, garlic bread, salad, even baked a chocolate cake from scratch. I used my grandmother's recipe, the one I only ever make on holidays. Everyone showed up. Ate, drank, talked over each other. Jenna wore my necklace again. She kept flipping her hair to show it off. Marcus sat next to me. I watched him laugh at a story Nate was telling, and I wondered how long he'd been choosing them over me. After dinner, I stood up. "Before dessert," I said, "I have a little something I want to show you all." I walked over to the TV, plugged in the flash drive, and played the clip. It was completely silent. They watched Jenna walk down the hall. Saw her enter our bedroom. Saw her come out holding the box. All in full color. No sound. Just the truth. When the clip ended, I turned around slowly. Nobody moved. Then I said, "I want my necklace back. And I want every person in this house who's not on the mortgage to be gone by noon tomorrow." Jenna stammered. That's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like." She looked at Marcus. "So did I." "You knew," I said. "You didn't care. You let me feel crazy." Marcus opened his mouth, but I cut him off. "No more excuses. You failed me." I walked into the kitchen and cut myself a slice of cake. I was done being polite. After the video, the house went completely silent. You could hear someone's fork clink against the plate in the kitchen, like even the utensils were uncomfortable. Jenna didn't say a word after that. She just sat there, frozen, eyes darting between me and Marcus. Her face went stiff, like she didn't know whether to cry or scream. I didn't care either way. I didn't ask her to leave again. I didn't need to. She stood up quietly, walked down the hallway, and slammed the guest room door so hard the mirror on the wall rattled. Marcus followed her. I stood there alone in my dining room with 2 dirty pans of lasagna and people who now couldn't even look me in the eye. Nate muttered something about bad timing and went out to smoke. Terrell asked if he could take some cake to go. I didn't answer. The next morning, I woke up to find Jenna gone. She left the necklace on the kitchen counter, tangled and smeared with what looked like lotion. No note. No goodbye. But Marcus? He was still here. He sat on the edge of the bed while I got dressed for work like nothing happened. "So, are we going to talk?" he asked, like I had something to explain. I didn't answer him right away. I just kept pulling on my slacks and brushing my hair. He sighed like I was being childish. "Look, I didn't know she took it, okay? I thought maybe you just lost it." "You do misplace stuff sometimes." I turned and looked him dead in the eyes. "No. You just don't listen." He got up. "She's my sister, I couldn't just accuse her without proof." "We had proof. She wore it. You saw it. You just didn't want to deal with it." He stood there, arms crossed. "You embarrassed her in front of everyone. Couldn't you have handled that in private?" That's when I snapped. "I gave her privacy when she stole from me. I gave you the chance to handle it. And you both treated me like I was nothing." He walked out of the room after that. That day at work, I couldn't focus. My hands were shaking all morning. Not from fear. From rage. Like all the years I let things go had been building up and were now boiling under my skin. Around noon, I got a text from Nate. "That was cold last night. Jenna's messed up, but you didn't have to humiliate her." Then another from Terrell. "I thought you were cool. That was extra." It hit me then. They all thought I was the problem. Not Jenna. Not Marcus. Me. And you know what? I was done trying to be the good one. That night, I started pulling out boxes. Every piece of furniture or dish that belonged to me, I packed it. Every spare towel, every extra pillow. Gone from the guest room. I took my name off the shared grocery app. I changed the Wi-Fi password. Marcus tried to act like nothing was changing. sat on the couch like a statue, watching reruns of Forged in Fire, while I cleared out every cabinet in silence. Then the call started. Jenna told Marcus she lost her job and might have to move back in temporarily. He told her, without asking me. We'll figure something out. I heard it from the bathroom and walked straight into the living room. Figure what out? I asked. He looked at me, caught. She just needs a few days. I laughed. I actually laughed. She's not coming back here. Not now, not ever. She's my sister, she's a thief, Marcus. And you're a coward. He stood up. You're going to break up this whole family over a necklace? No, I said. Over everything. And that night, I moved into the guest room. Here's the twist though. 2 days later, I got a message on Facebook. From someone I hadn't seen in years. Her name was Lauren. She used to date Nate, Marcus's brother. They split up a few years ago and I never got the full story. I didn't even know she still lived in town. Her message just said, "Saw what happened at your dinner. You're not crazy. Call me." That caught my attention. We met up the next day at a coffee shop near downtown. She looked tired. Like life had run her down. But her eyes were sharp. "First of all," she said, "I'm proud of you." I just blinked. "For what?" "For not letting them eat you alive." I stared. "You saw the video?" She nodded. "Nate showed it to me." He's mad, but deep down, he knows Jen is trash. They all do. They just cover for her. I asked her why she reached out. She leaned forward. "I wanted you to know, this isn't the first time. Jenna stole from me too. Back when Nate and I were together. She stayed with us for 3 weeks, said she needed time to find herself. While I was at work, she took cash from my wallet. Took my headphones. Took a pair of shoes, if you can believe it." "Did you tell Nate?" "Of course. He said I was being paranoid." I sat back. She wasn't done. She stole from her own mother too. Took some silver bracelets their mom had since the 80s. Blamed it on movers. No one said a word. That was the moment something clicked. It wasn't just about the necklace. It was the pattern. And Marcus knew. They all did. They just didn't care. I went home that night with a new kind of anger in my chest. A colder one. The kind that plans. This wasn't over. Not yet. And I wasn't going to walk away quietly. I started watching Marcus differently after that. Every time he picked up his phone and left the room, I listened. Every time he went quiet when I walked in, I took note. I didn't say anything. Not yet. But I started writing things down. Times. Dates. What he said. Who he was talking to. He thought I was still angry over the necklace. But this was bigger now. I had a notebook tucked in my closet where I kept a running list. I didn't even know what I was looking for at first. I just knew there was more under the surface. It didn't take long to find it. One night, I was folding laundry. Marcus had left his phone charging on the bed. It buzzed. Normally, I wouldn't check it. But something told me to. It was a message from Jenna. Jenna. She's still mad? LOL, she'll get over it. She always does. Then another Jenna. I'll swing by tomorrow while she's at work. We can talk for real. I felt like the ground dropped under me. I took a screenshot and sent it to myself. Then I scrolled up through their past messages. That's when I found the real damage. He knew she had taken my stuff weeks before the dinner. There were messages from him saying things like, "Marcus, just put it back before she notices. Jenna, relax. She's too uptight to wear that stuff anyway. Marcus, you're gonna get me in trouble. Jenna, she's already a nightmare. What's she gonna do, cry about it?" That last one. That one burned. I looked around the room, our room, the one I paid half the mortgage on. The dresser. The bed. The framed photo from our wedding. It all felt like a joke now. I went to the hallway closet and pulled down the box with all our old financial papers. Tax returns, receipts, loan forms. I hadn't looked through it in years. That's where I found the credit card. A joint account I never signed up for. Opened 2 years ago. My name listed under authorized user. And it had thousands in charges. Online orders. Streaming subscriptions. Cash withdrawals. Every charge was tied to his side of the family. I sat down on the floor and laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was insane. I had let these people into my house, into my life, and they'd been draining me without even trying to hide it. Marcus came home late that night. Smelled like beer and someone else's perfume. He flopped onto the couch and turned on the TV. I stood behind him in the hallway, holding the printed credit card statement in one hand and the screenshots in the other. But I didn't say a word. I was done arguing. Done giving warnings. It was time for something else. Over the next few days, I started prepping. Quietly. I made a call to my cousin Amy, who's a paralegal in Boise. She gave me a name of a divorce lawyer here in Spokane. I scheduled a meeting during my lunch break. I made copies of everything. Texts, receipts, screenshots, the security footage. Put it all on a flash drive and kept it in my glove compartment. I opened a new bank account in my name only. Transferred half the savings into it, my half. Closed every auto payment, an app he had access to. But I didn't stop there. I was angry, yes. But I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to make him see what it felt like to be dismissed. To be betrayed. To be taken for granted. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I invited his mom over. Now let me explain. Marcus's mom, Deborah, is a tough woman. Church-going, sharp-tongued, and fiercely loyal to her kids. But she's also proud. She doesn't like being lied to. And she especially doesn't like her money being messed with. When she arrived, I handed her the flash drive and a glass of iced tea. Before you say anything, I told her. Just watch. She did. The hallway footage. The texts. The credit card charges. She watched in silence. When it ended, she set the glass down slowly and said, "So, Marcus knew?" I nodded. He helped her cover it up. And there's more. I showed her the charges. The vacations Jenna took. The gift cards. The Uber rides from clubs to God knows where. All of it under that joint account in my name. She didn't say a word for a full minute. Then she leaned forward, looked me in the eyes, and said, "I raised him better than this." I wasn't sure if she was more embarrassed or angry. Probably both. Before she left, she told me not to tell Marcus we talked. And I didn't. Because I had one last card to play. 2 days later, I invited Marcus to dinner. Just the two of us. He seemed surprised, but I played it cool. Told him I wanted to clear the air. He smiled like he thought he'd won. Like I was finally giving in. I made his favorite, steak, mashed potatoes, and green beans. Opened a bottle of wine. Set the table. He sat down, looking smug. Halfway through the meal, I asked him, "You happy?" He looked up, chewing. "What?" "Just wondering if you're happy with how everything turned out." He leaned back in his chair. "I mean, we've had a rough patch, but yeah, I think we'll be okay." I smiled. Then I dropped the stack of papers on the table. Credit card statements. Text messages. A copy of the lawyer's intake form. And a note from his mom, handwritten, that just said, I told her the truth. "You're on your own now." Marcus stared at the pile. Then at me. "What the hell is this?" "It's everything," I said. "Everything you thought I wouldn't find." He stood up. "You went through my stuff?" "No," I said. "I went through our stuff. The stuff you tried to bury." His face twisted. "So what now? You gonna throw away our marriage over a few stupid charges?" I looked at him, dead in the eye. "No. I'm going to burn it." Marcus didn't say anything right away. He just stood there, face twisted, trying to figure out how much I really knew. Then he laughed. "You're overreacting. It's just money. You've always been uptight about stuff." I pushed back my chair and stood up. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't scared. I was ready. "It wasn't just money," I said. "It was my name. My trust. My mother's necklace. You let them steal from me, lie to me, and you sat there like it didn't matter." He pointed at the papers on the table. "So what, you think this makes you the victim?" "No," I said. "It makes me the one who's done." I moved out 2 days later. But not before making sure every loose end was tied. The divorce papers were ready. I served them to him at work. I didn't even go in. I had a process server hand them to him in front of his landscaping crew. I heard later he tried to joke about it, but his hands were shaking so bad he dropped the packet. I filed identity theft charges against him for the credit card. Because technically, I never signed off on that account. The lawyer said we had a case. I pressed forward. He tried to say I set him up. That I was vindictive. But I didn't care anymore. I was playing by the rules. He wasn't. Then came Jenna. Oh, Jenna. I found out through Lauren that Jenna had applied for a job at a local salon. Pretty fancy place downtown. She had told them she was a licensed esthetician. She wasn't. I knew this because she had once left a folder in our guest room, open. No license. Just some half-finished online courses and a bunch of selfies she planned to use as a portfolio. So, I did something petty. I sent the salon an anonymous email. Included screenshots from her own social media where she said, "I ain't even licensed LOL," under a video of her waxing someone's brows in a kitchen. They pulled the job offer. Jenna showed up at Marcus's place 2 days later, screaming on his porch. And I watched it happen. Why? Because after I moved out, Marcus tried to rent our spare room to a friend of his, without telling the landlord. It broke the lease terms. And since my name was still on the lease for 1 more month, I told the landlord everything. He issued a 30-day notice to vacate. Marcus had to move back in with his mom. Guess who didn't let Jenna move in either? Deborah. Here's the best part. I was working late one evening when I got a message from Terrell, the cousin. It was a screenshot. Someone had posted in a local Facebook group about missing packages in the area. Porch pirates. Guess who was in the background of a Ring camera photo? Terrell. Hoodie. Ball cap. Carrying someone else's Amazon box. The post went viral. The cops came knocking. Turns out he had priors. Dumb stuff, petty theft, some unpaid tickets. But this time, they didn't let it slide. Jail. For real. Nate wasn't far behind. A few months after everything blew up, he tried getting custody of his kid again. His ex brought up the fact that he'd been couch surfing and unemployed for a year and a half. The judge denied him visitation until he proved stable employment and a clean home. I doubt that'll happen anytime soon. And me? I moved into a small townhouse not far from work. Quiet. Clean. Mine. I took a long, hard look at myself after everything. I'd let people step over my boundaries for too long. I'd ignored my instincts. I'd given too many second chances. So I changed that. I started saying no. To late nights at work. To helping people who only showed up when they needed something. To fixing problems that weren't mine. I kept the necklace. It sits in a new box now, on a new dresser, in a new room that no one walks into without knocking. People always say karma takes care of things. But I don't believe that anymore. I took care of it. And I'd do it again.